today's content will be featuring about Tom Brady and his decision to pick Tampa Bay over the Patriots and how this affects the Dallas Cowboys' chances of getting into the playoffs.
Everybody, you did one hell of a job, and the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys? Yeah!
If we look at Tampa Bay, they got weapons all over that offense that can be used, and Tom Brady loves wide receivers, and he loves especially these tight ends. So if we look at the weapons, we have Mike Evans, and then you have Chris Godwin. So we talk about Mike Evans. Mike Evans is a taller receiver. I think he's the tallest receiver Brady's ever probably going to throw to. He is around 6'5". Randy Moss is 6'4". So he has an inch ahead of Randy. So he knows he could throw that ball deep, and Mike Evans would be there. So he's used to that very physical, that tall wide receiver that he could just take a shot up. I'll take a long throw, and he'll be there to make the one-on-one catch. So that's a good for Brady on the outside. And you got inside, you could have Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin is like a small receiver. He's 6'1". So he's slightly taller than Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman's a 5'10". Then you got Wes Welker, 5'9". So he's that small receiver that Brady always loves to. When you got the blitz, he tosses it right to that small receiver, which is Chris Godwin, and then he makes these unbelievable runs and improves the first down marker. So these two additions I think are very good for the Bucs and Brady. They give two weapons that he's sort of familiar to. Brady loves these tight ends. So Tampa Bay has a big tight end in O.J. Howard. And Tampa Bay just traded for Robert Gronkowski. So they get two premier wide receivers that are both built, and Brady can throw to at any time. There's a blitz or there's double coverage with these wide receivers. He has those two that he could throw to. So then we talk about the running backs and what Brady has. So these running backs, they're solid. I would say they're solid. They're young running backs with Ronald Jones and Peyton Barber. So these are guys like similar to New England. These are not flashy, big, superstar running backs. These are small. They're useful. It's more a group of running backs, like similar to in New England, right? And of course, we know the reason why Brady went to Tampa Bay over the LA Chargers was the distance, East Coast. It was the East Coast. It was closer to home, closer to his family. One of his sons to New York, so it was closer. So that kind of helps the situation. So it makes more sense. And then we talk about veteran head coaches. So when you talk about Anthony Lynn or Bruce Arians definitely has more experience in the NFL coaching, and he has more coaching experience, and he's worked more with QBs. You could go on a list, but Big Ben, Carson Palmer, and Peyton Manning. There's a big list where he has worked with these QB. He was a QB coach, assistant coach, became a head coach with Arizona, turned Carson Palmer into this believable thing, had an incredible playoff run, so he could sort of recapture that in Tom Brady. I really think so. And with Anthony Lynn, he's a good coach. I'm talking about the team in general. You got Joey Bosa, great. You have this defense, the safety, the special teams. I don't know if it's as good as Tampa Bay's, because Tampa Bay, they have Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles is coach of the Jets. He knows defense, so you'll be fine with that. And then Tom Brady, Bruce Arians can work on that offense and adjusting to Tom. So I think that's a very good that Tom Brady has Bruce Arians. Also, alongside Tom Brady having Bruce Arians, when you come to Tampa Bay, there's no state income tax. So he gets all his money. He gets all his money that he made. He gets whatever he has state income tax, and also all the advertising. Those jerseys in Tampa Bay will be flying off the shelves because now Tampa Bay finally has the star that they needed to click. Because Tampa Bay was actually a good team all over the place. The one thing I'd say Tampa Bay was missing is that QB and that veteran presence. Now, when you have Bruce Arians, you got the veteran head coach and you got the veteran QB, and Tom Brady sets the tone and sets the culture. So this changes the whole dynamic of the NFC. It changed the whole dynamic in the division. And also, it kind of makes sense Tom Brady not to go back into the AFC or be with the Chargers, because on top of that, he'd have to deal with Patty Mahomes, which he's amazing. They'll probably get, I would say, the first or second seed, right? And then also you have to deal with Lamar Jackson. You got Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. Those are the two upcoming young QBs that are, they're going to be superstars. And then you got teams that are in the mix that may actually hurt Tom Brady. When Tom Brady comes to the NFC, he doesn't have to deal with those QBs. And if you look at from the division standpoint and the conference standpoint, I would say it's easier for Tom than it is in the AFC. And also in Tampa Bay, it's hot weather, good stadium. You know it's gonna be a good stadium. Also in that division, you got the Saints. Saints indoor stadium. You played against Drew Brees. You know the style. You know Sean Payton. And then you got the Falcons. Falcons indoor stadium. And then also you got the Panthers. The Panthers, usually the weather is pretty good. So those are very easy games that you could probably win against the Panthers. The Falcons, you should win both games. And then you split in the New Orleans game. And then you look at the schedule and then you see how you're doing. And then let's talk about the overall picture and what the Tom Brady decision to go to Tampa. So with Tampa, we already talked about how they got a veteran head coach in Bruce Arians, but the ownership in Tampa, they know winning culture. They know they have formed a Super Bowl winning team. They got two historic coaches. John Gruden, he's won a Super Bowl, and Tony Dungy won a Super Bowl. So they got these veteran coaches. They have brought veteran coaches to Tampa Bay. They have won a Super Bowl. So I think that's a better move for Tom Brady than to go to the Chargers, where they haven't experienced a winning culture. They've made the playoffs, but they haven't done really well. Philip Rivers hasn't delivered in big games in playoff moments. They had that one good year. With LaDainian Tomlinson. That's about it. So it makes more sense. The ownership really in the Chargers really only care about tickets, the money, the profit, the jersey sales. Whereas Tampa Bay, I could see they have a better winning culture. The ownership knows winning, so it would obviously be a better idea for Tom Brady in order to prove that he doesn't need Bill Belichick. And what that means for the Dallas Cowboys is that by Tom Brady going to Tampa Bay, this means that Dallas will have a tougher route to the playoffs because there's a more competitive conference. There's more teams in the mix for that wild card spot. So the realistic way that Dallas can get into the playoffs is by winning the division. They have an easier schedule than the Philadelphia Eagles because the Eagles won a division last year, and Dallas came second. So they have a weaker schedule than the Eagles, so they should win the division. Also, the NFC is very competitive. There's a lot of young, up-and-coming teams. There's a lot of teams that are still there. So like teams like Arizona, they got a young team. They're ready to go, ready to overachieve, I think, this year. Then you got the defending conference champions in the San Francisco 49ers. You got the Seattle Seahawks. They make the playoffs regularly. You got the LA Rams. They probably want to bounce back and try to get into the playoffs. You got the Green Bay Packers that maybe want to go back to the conference championship again and Aaron Rodgers run the table one more time. You got the Chicago Bears, Matt Nagy, and see what they can do with the QB situation and if they can make the playoffs. You got the Minnesota Vikings. They upsetted the Saints last year in the playoffs, so maybe try to go to the Super Bowl or something. Then you got in Tom Brady's division, you got Tampa Bay. They want to make the playoffs with this new fresh team. You got New Orleans with Drew Brees, their squad. They added some additions, try to finish it off, try to give Drew Brees a ring in his final couple of years. Then you got Atlanta. They would try to hopefully want to get back into the playoffs after a disappointing season last year. And these teams are the most competitive teams in the conference, and they're either fighting for the division, trying to win the division crown, or they're trying to fight for that wild card. So for Dallas, it's very competitive, and the only way I see them getting into the playoffs is through the division. We have to see how they play next year, how Mike McCarthy coaches the Dallas Cowboys, if they're going to be more of a run system team, or are they going to be more of a pass-heavy team. We got to see how the new defense is going to be installed with a new coordinator, so we have to see how it plays out. And the record-wise, we have to see how they do against the Eagles, because I think Dallas's main competitor in that division is the Eagles. So they got to do better than the Eagles in order to get to the playoffs next year. So we'll see what happens. Hope you guys like, subscribe,